Hello and welcome to the Elder Small channel. I am Elder Small, and I'd like to thank you for this brief time we'll spend together, wherein I will review Chapter 8 of my book, You Deserve More, entitled Consciousness Testifies. And so, and let me begin by saying there are people and families and communities all over the world who have had near death experiences. The near death experience, it is a phenomena that many of us know something about. Likewise, there are many of us who know someone who has had a near death experience. The near death experience refers to situations in which individuals are declared clinically dead but are later resuscitated. During these experiences, they often report leaving their physical bodies and visiting what seems to be the realm of the afterlife. Dr. Raymond A. Moody Jr., a psychiatrist with a PhD in philosophy, he's a pioneer in the field of near death research. I would encourage anyone interested in near death experiences to read his book, Life After Life, which contains firsthand reports and interviews of people who have experienced near death events and were able to recount their experiences. Let me read a few excerpts from his book. In one case, a man's heart stopped beating following a fall in which his body was badly mangled, and he recalls, I quote, "At one time now, I know I was lying on the bed there, but I could actually see the doctor. I could actually see the bed and the doctor working on me. I couldn't understand it, but I looked at my own body lying there on the bed, and I felt really bad when I looked at my body and I saw how badly it was messed up." End quote. In a different account, a young woman gave an account of her feelings during her near death experience. And I quote, "I thought I was dead, and I wasn't sorry that I was dead, but I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go. My thoughts and my consciousness were just like they are in life, but I just couldn't figure all this out. I kept thinking, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And my God, I'm dead. I can't believe it." Because you really never believe, I don't think, fully that you're going to die. It's always something that's going to happen to another person. And although you know it, you really never believe it deep down. So I decided I was just going to wait until all the excitement died down and they carried my body away and try to see if I could figure out where to go from there. End quote. And then in the last, in the next one, there's a woman who recalls, and I quote, "About a year ago, I was admitted to the hospital with heart trouble. And the next morning, lying in the hospital bed, I began to have very severe pain in my chest. I pushed the button beside the bed to call for the nurse, and they came in and started working on me. I was quite uncomfortable lying on my back, so I turned over, and as I did, I stopped breathing and my heart stopped beating. Just then, I heard nurses shout, 'Cold pink, cold pink.' As they were saying this, I could feel myself moving out of my body and sliding down between the mattress and the rail on the side of the bed. Actually, it seemed as if I went through the rail on down to the floor. Then I began to rise upward slowly. On my way up, I saw more nurses come running into the room. There must have been a dozen of them. My doctor happened to be making his rounds in the hospital, so they called him, and I saw him come into the room too. I thought, I wonder what he's doing here. I drifted on past the light fixture I drifted on past the light fixture. I saw it from the side and very distinctly. And then I stopped, floating right below the ceiling, looking down. I felt almost as though I were a piece of paper that someone had blown up to the ceiling. I watched them reviving me from up there. My body was lying there, stretched out on the bed, in plain view, and they were all standing around it. I heard one nurse say, "Oh my God, she's gone," while another one leaned down to give me mouth to mouth resuscitation. I was looking at the back of her head as she did this, and I'll never forget the way her hair looked. It was kind of short. Just then, I saw them roll this machine in there, and they put the shocks on my chest. When they did, I saw my whole body jump right off the bed, and I heard every bone in my body crack and pop. It was the most awful thing. As I saw them below beating on my chest and rubbing on my arms and legs, I thought, why are they going through so much trouble? I'm just fine. End quote. And so many of us dismiss near death experiences as mere delusions or hallucinations. However, in this age of information, data, and research, we have the opportunity to look beyond disbelief, superstition, and dogma and study the similarities and consistencies that occur in these near death experiences. According to Linda J. Griffin and Bruce Grison, both psychiatrists, it is estimated that near death experiences have been reported by 5% of the adult population in America, proving beyond a doubt that life survives the destruction of the body. Across lines of race, age, class, and gender, people who recount their near death experience in most cases tell of events or experiences that overlap and are similar in many ways. Number one, the person feels removed or projected from their body as they find themselves hovering above it, watching what's going on. Secondly, in many of their experiences, they travel through a tunnel and enter a place of peace where there is no fear, and they find flower filled valleys and sparkling streams, more lovely than anything they have seen on earth. And then many times they meet with recently deceased friends and relatives. Lastly, there are also encounters with luminous, intelligent beings who guide them through a life review and lessons of profound emotional importance, who thereafter inform them, him or her, that it is not their time yet and persuade them to return to their earthly life and re enter their physical bodies. And so a near death experience is a form of interaction with higher consciousness. It is a prelude to the realm of existence beyond our physical bodies. Michael Talbot informs us that the life review, a feature that crops up again and again in modern day near death experiences, is also described in books that are thousands of years old. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and in the 2,000-year-old yogic writings of the Indian sage Patanjali. And so when we study the lives, isolation, secrecy, and sacred writings of shamans, sages, and initiates of the mystery schools and juxtapose those revelations with those of people who recount their near death experiences, we find similarities and consistencies in their experiences, even though they're separated by thousands of years. Likewise, Those who recount their near death experiences echo the revelations of ancient spiritual practitioners. Thus, modern researchers and scientists are beginning to understand and validate the spiritual testimonies of ancient civilizations. Dr. Moody informs us that 20 years of research have convinced him that those who have near death experiences have ventured into another level of reality. The reality lies in the realm of higher consciousness, a realm of subtle energy, or what we have called higher vibrations, a realm of frequencies. The act of dying involves the transmutation of the physical body into the body of light, in which we find ourselves in a domain of pure frequencies and wave like images. People who recount their near death experiences tell us that they entered a light that is more brilliant than anything they've ever seen on earth. And despite its immeasurable intensity, it does not hurt their eyes. Detached from their physical bodies, they perceive themselves as disembodied clouds of energy, a cloud of colors, a mist, or an energy field. All revelations that suggest that we are vibratory energy fields. In addition, some saw themselves as a hologram like body sculpted by thought. As I mentioned earlier, people who recount near death experiences report undergoing a life review, which they described as entering a theater with a wraparound screen showing a three-dimensional replay of their life. It's likened to watching a movie wherein you are the main character, and not only are you the main character, but the movie is a detailed playback of your entire life, and it is said to happen in an instant. Dr. Sabamfu Somi informs us that ancestors can see the future, the past, and the present. They can see inside of us and outside of us. They can see cross dimensionally. And they're lucky not to have physical bodies because without the limitation of the physical body, they have the fluidity of the eye, of an eye that sees many different ways and in many different directions. Likewise, those who recount near death experiences often report the ability to see in all directions simultaneously while in a disembodied state when reflecting on the replay of their lives. There, there is an instant when judgment takes place, but it is self judgment that manifests from their feelings of guilt and repentance. This is the same nature or structure of the judgment scene that took place in the Hall of Ma'at, which the Kemites described thousands of years ago. Death is a doorway. It represents the demise of the physical body, but on the other hand, with the dissolution of the body, you become keenly aware that life is consciousness and that consciousness is multidimensional. Those who recount their near death experiences consistently tell us about encounters with beings of light, and amidst the encounter, they are overwhelmed with feelings of love and acceptance. They experience a sense of transference which compels them to forgive and love everyone unconditionally. And in the same instance, they acknowledge that they are loved beyond questioning. Beyond questioning, they tell us that consciousness incarnates to learn that love is the essence of the human experience. It is the key. similar in nature to the near death experience is the out of body experience. The out of body experience occurs when the individual, often consciously, leaves the body, travels to a different location, observes various phenomena, and then returns accurately reporting on objects and events. These experiences are far more common than most people realize, as Michael Talbot informs us that 1 in 10 people will have an out of body experience at some point in their lives. The out of body experience, in many ways, overlaps with the near death experience in terms of consciousness, as people have reported seeing themselves floating over their bodies and discovering that they can transcend or fly from one location to another. And while many out of body experiences are spontaneous, being triggered by a traumatic event, some people have mastered the ability to leave their bodies at will. Those who recount their out of body experience report being able to pass through solid objects and travel great distances in a twinkling of an eye simply by thinking of oneself there. Although we are taught that we think with our brains, this is not always true. Under the right circumstances, our consciousness, the thinking, perceiving part of us, can detach from the physical body and exist just about anywhere it wants to. Those who recount out of body experiences see themselves in ghost like bodies, which is a replica of their biological body. They also report perceiving themselves as balls of light, shapeless clouds of energy, and even in no discernible form at all. The near death experiencers, as well as those out of body experiencers, both speak to a reality beyond the physical realm, that is, beyond the third dimensional realm of physical forms. Those who investigate and collect data on these phenomena draw conclusions that are not unlike those of ancient Kemites, nor do they differ from the records of the great shamans of spiritual science. While religious beliefs have their place, human experience reigns supreme. The near death experience, like the out of body experience, cannot rightly be understood unless one accepts that life exists in dimensions beyond the physical world and sensory perception. In his book, Shamanic Wisdom in the Pyramid Text, Jerry Nadler provides analysis and commentary on the pyramid text. Of interest to this discussion is the Pyramid Temple of Eunice, the South Wall, Utterance 213, where the priest addresses Eunice with these words: O Eunice, you have departed. Let me go back and start this over again. Quote, O Eunice, you have not departed dead, you have departed alive to sit upon the throne of Asar. Your Abba scepter in your hand that you may give order to the living, your lotus bud scepter in your hand that you may give order to those whose seats are hidden. End quote. The above quote refers to a ceremony that takes place involving the throne of Asar and the scepter held by the king. The scepter enables the king to give orders to the living and likewise to those whose seats are hidden, that is, the dead. In this sense, the king has departed, he has died. However, the text informs us that he has left the land of the living on a journey into the realm of the dead, but he is alive as he embarks on the journey. The journey into the realm of the dead by the living is a theme that is present throughout ancient cultures worldwide. According to ancient spiritual traditions, the soul is capable of separating itself from the physical body and traveling independent of it. This experience of being conscious and aware of oneself, independent of the physical body, is what the modern medical professionals refer to as the out of body experience. In this synopsis of the near death and out of body experience, individuals recounted different circumstances surrounding their experiences. Many who describe being in a lucid state of disembodied consciousness express a reluctance to return to their physical bodies or this dimension. The time they spend in what I would call the afterlife exposes them to overwhelming feelings of joy and love and peace. Their experience, in many ways, reflects what we've learned about the life between life experiences. That is, the state of consciousness between incarnations. Likewise, those or their experiences echo the sentiments of spiritual beings abiding in higher dimensions, also referred to as higher realms of consciousness. For many who reside in higher realms of consciousness, incarnation into the physical realm is viewed with disfavor, as the human soul is quite at home in what is referred to in the Kabbalah as paradise, the realm of blessings. When near death experiencers return to the physical realm of consciousness, it is much like birth in that it is a form of reincarnation. Therefore, the near death experience, like when we incarnate in our physical bodies, entails a sense of alienation from the realm of pure light, higher consciousness, or what Dr. Bynum refers to as the deeper self. And as life goes on, those who have near death experiences live with the knowledge of the deeper self, along with an understanding that human beings are inherently transdimensional, or what can be referred to as multidimensional beings. And so I want to stop there, and in doing so, I'm gonna I'm gonna say, may you be blessed with supreme intelligence and the greatest good in your life. Host, I say, Dua, Hotep.